All right, y'all. We are back with chapter 11 of Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It: How Great Entrepreneurs Build Their Business and Influence, and how you can too. Chapter 11: YouTube. YouTube makes me so happy. It's here that I believe I can possibly help change a life faster than anywhere else. Since 2009, millions of people have quit their jobs and started making a living on this platform. It's the whole reason Crush It and this book and the books in between and everything else in my professional world came to be. Ironically, YouTube is also where I made one of the biggest mistakes in my career. I was a breakout star on YouTube in 2006, but by the time I started writing Crush It, I had decided that Vidler, its competitor, had a tagging system and management team that made it a superior platform for me and my content, which was unusually long by 2007 standards. In addition, I'll admit I was swayed by a short term economic decision. The company gave me substantial equity in the business. I was certain that my advocacy and ability to put the platform in context for everyone would ensure its rise to prominence. But I was wrong. But you know what? It didn't matter because in the end, whether I was talking Vidler, YouTube, or Google Video, my advice on how to crush it in a video would have been 100% the same. I suspect YouTube has created more wealth and more opportunities in the crush it model than any other platform to date. It's certainly the most important platform for building a personal brand. Though Instagram is closing the gap quickly, it could take the place of television. Are streaming Increasing numbers of people are streaming YouTube onto their TV screens. And during primetime hours on an average day in the United States, more 18 to 49-year-olds visit YouTube than any TV network, even on mobile alone. That's tough news. I know that not everybody who's reading this book is cut out for video, which is why I'm so thankful that other alternatives exist to beautifully showcase the written word, still images and audio. However, let's be real, with perhaps the notable exception of J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series, and a handful of other writers. In general, over the last 30 years, video stars have financially outperformed stars in every other medium. YouTube 101. Please, even if you don't think your video material, give the platform a try. So many people don't think of themselves as camera worthy, but vlogging and documenting doesn't demand that you be glamorous or beautiful or really superficially special at all. Have you looked at what's out there aside from the beauty bloggers, the bodybuilders, and the rising pop idols? In other words, aside from everyone in the industry where your looks really matter, everyone on YouTube looks pretty damned ordinary. There are vloggers with disfiguring tumors, vloggers with disabilities, vloggers of all ages and shapes. Vlogging is a terrific way to document instead of create, which means that literally anyone can do it. You don't need to be accomplished, at least not in the way 99% of you reading this define accomplishment, to break out on this platform. Because remember, when you're documenting and not creating, you're allowed to learn as you go. You don't have to be an expert yet. You don't have to be successful yet. The only thing you really do have to do is make the road to getting there interesting. Now, interesting is subjective. You know what I find super interesting to watch? Videos about hitting up garage sales, and I'm not the only one. As I write, a quick search on YouTube shows videos devoted to the topic of garage sailing receiving as many as 50,000, 99,000, and 137,000 views. Don't ever decide for yourself that videos about you or the things you like to do won't be compelling to anyone else. Let the market decide. Trust me, it'll be honest with you. Vlogging is a great equalizer, and YouTube is the vlogging mothership. It's the platform where the person no one thought would amount to anything can make it. It's a tool for finding your best angle, and I don't mean camera angle. If you have a lot of interests, if you aren't sure where your greatest skills lie, if you wonder whether you have the kind of charisma and appeal that draws audiences to YouTube personalities, or if you simply can't decide whether you'd rather be the number one American authority on pajamas or the go to guru for kombucha, pick up your phone and start documenting your day. Put the results up daily as a YouTube vlog. See which posts get the most attention and double down on whatever it is that's making those posts stick. But you have to put something out to know if you've got the goods. I didn't mull over whether I should start Wine Library or debate whether I was good enough to deserve a YouTube audience. The second I thought filming a wine review show was a good idea, I had an employee go to Best Buy to buy the camera, film the first episode, and posted it. That first episode looks and sounds totally different from the ones I've created even 4 months later because I figured out that I could be me. I'd held back, not because I was worried about the opinion of the world at large, but because I was afraid if I really let loose, I'd jeopardize all the hard won relationships the wine store had with longtime customers who bought $10,000 of um, wine from me every month. If you look at the first episode, I'm almost unrecognizable, not because I'm over a decade younger and 15 pounds heavier, but because my personality is so subdued. I say very wine experty things like, when I smell this, it reminds me of a classic Clinet or a VCC. And I'm not going to push the pre petrous. Then in episode 11, you can see on the wall behind me a framed black and white photo of Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier battling it out in the 1971 fight of the century. That may have been the first piece of the real me, the boxing loving me that made its way into the show. In episode 40, I start talking about joy and passion and cut to a clip from the televised 2006 NFL draft where I was caught on camera screaming my head off with excitement with my friends and my brother AJ in response to the announcement that the Jets had selected DeBrickashaw Ferguson, an offensive tackle from the University of Virginia, over quarterback Matt Leinart. I was starting to reveal other sides of me because, as I said at the end of the episode, you've got to be passionate about other things besides wine. It's right around this time that I started to realize that the world was changing so much that this channel could potentially get much bigger than I'd ever anticipated. And it might be worth risking a few short-term wine losses in exchange for the long-term value of allowing myself to be me. By episode 57, I give a virtual finger to the establishment. Episode 58 gets even more real with the title I'm Not Pissed and reveals that I turned down two network opportunities, one in a travel genre, one in a food and wine genre, because I didn't believe that TV was the future. Now remember, this is supposed to be a wine show. My energy is rising, my voice is going fast, and I'm being more direct. And then my confidence really kicks in with comments like, we're the best marketers in the wine business. We don't need a blog to spell wine. I start dropping colorful phrases like bullcrap and the taste the goddamn wine, like propaganda, bright pomegranate seeds into my molecules. By episode 61, when I start asking for people to keep emailing me because my mail was confirming that I was hitting a nerve and getting people excited and interested, my opening is less masterpiece theater, more WWE. As you can see, the delivery, quality, and content of Wine Library TV changed over time. I gave the show time to evolve. I gave myself time to get comfortable and relax into the format. I gave myself time to get to know my audience and listen to what it was saying. It has been pointed out to me that my first video was 10 times better than some people's 100th in terms of quality and content. Maybe, but again, quality is subjective. Some people are successful despite being complete idiots because the public loves to watch them be idiots. For sure, I'm coherent and you can tell I know my shit. That was definitely a good start. But remember, there is no way I could have known that I'd be good on video at the time. If I had sat on my idea of starting a wine show and and second guessed myself, I could have probably found 100 reasons not to do it. Thank God I didn't stop to do any of that, but went with my gut. YouTube isn't going to make you charismatic and interesting, but it will expose you if you are. It can't do that, however, if you don't put yourself out there. Give yourself a year to adjust and try different approaches and see what kind of responses you get. Listen to your audience. Ultimately, it all boils down to this: don't let perfection be your enemy. Do not be another dreamer who puts up 10 episodes, gets trolled or ignored, gets discouraged, and takes the channel down. For God's sake, give yourself a fair chance to succeed. Every single thing that has ever happened on television can happen on YouTube. You can break out as a pop star. You can be a filmmaker. You can become Billy Mays, the infomercial pitch man. You want to become a morning TV star? Start a morning TV show on YouTube. You want to be the next Dr. Drew? Start a Q&A show. You want to be the next Rachel Ray, Oprah, Tavis Smiley, or Chris Hardwick? Then start cooking, mentoring, interviewing, or talking pop culture on YouTube. Tomorrow, yes, it will be harder than today. Ha- it would have been had you started doing this in 2011 when there were a lot of people watching but not as many creating. But if you are really talented, smart, funny, or creative, you will win. It might take you a few more months or even years than it would have in 2011, but it will happen. Taking the document, don't create approach means you are conceivably going to pour a shitload of boring content into the my miasma miasma of boring content already living on YouTube. That's okay. You know why? Because if in the end the rest of the world agrees that your content is boring, you'll know that you're not cut out for this and you can move on to something else. Or it might be because you'll get an email from one of the 6 people who watched episode 94 of your 200 yarn episodes, who happens to be the CEO of your favorite yarn company, telling you he'd love to work together one day if you're interested. You decide you're never going to become a PBS star, call him up and work out a deal where you create educational videos for the company website. They're a big company, so they get 400,000 views per episode, allowing you to build your brand through them. They're also big enough to pay you very well to do something you love. It might be because you discover that even though the general public didn't get caught up in your craft beer vlog, you had more fun doing that than you've ever had in your career as a software developer. So you approach Yangling about making educational training videos for their staff, and they bring you on board for a high five-figure salary. The pay isn't that different from what you earned before, but you go to bed happy every Sunday, excited to get back to work the next day. Did you become a millionaire? No, but only a tiny percentage of people who try this will. That's irrelevant. The point is to dream big and then make the practical adjustments necessary once you see where your potential lies. However, you will never ever know the extent of that potential until you try. I guarantee it's greater than you think it is. For a couple of years now, the tech savvy early adopters have been watching YouTube on their television sets. Very soon, everyone is going to be doing it. And the next generation will not see any difference between the two. YouTube will be television. Television will be YouTube. YouTube is a monster. Yet, Facebook is making plans to add more features that will make it look a lot like YouTube. With YouTube in possession of a decade of equity as the established video platform, Facebook is going to have to work its ass off to compete. As you're about to see, it's going to be a hell of a fight. Imagine this. Let's say your name is Sam. You're a 52-year-old insurance salesperson in Alabama. Your twins just headed off to college, leaving you alone with your partner and the two dogs who have been a part of the family since the children were tiny. As excited as you are to start this new chapter in your life, you know it's going to be hard adjusting to a home where there are no longer any kids around to make messes, cause drama, and add sparks and unpredictability to an otherwise staid and calm life. You've been working for the same insurance company for 22 years. You think retirement is probably only about 10 to 15 years away. You've saved steadily and invested wisely. You have little debt and the house is mostly paid off. Life is fine, just fine. Then your best friend sends you a video called 6 Minutes for the Next 60 Years of Your Life. Google it. You realize that you have potentially 30 to 40 more years ahead of you, and you want them to be more than just fine. You want them to be great. And with the kids finding their independence, you now have about twice the number of hours you once did to make them that way. You start thinking about all the fun hobbies and interests you let drop as life became busier and your responsibilities increased. You always loved to dance. Your mom forced you into balloon dance classes when you were a child. And to your surprise, you not only really enjoyed the rhythms and moves of salsa, merengue, and swing, but you were damn good at them. The skill served you well on the dating scene. It's how you met your spouse. But you both let the hobby drop as you settled into married life. It's also been 6 years since you set foot in a gym. By now, your knees would probably buckle after 2 rock steps. But maybe they wouldn't. And if they did, maybe instead of panic, maybe instead of pathetic, that and if they did, maybe instead of pathetic, that could be funny. Maybe it would be something you and your partner could laugh about together. You make a pitch to your partner. Let's get in shape and start dancing again. And to keep us accountable, let's film the whole process. Your partner sees how excited you are about this. Gringerly pitches the roll of fat that has settled around their waist and agrees. You discover that yes, your YMCA membership card does still work even though you haven't set foot in the place for 6 years. That first day on the treadmill goes pretty well and you're feeling so optimistic you hit the weights too. It makes for a triumphant first 3-minute video. Ultimately, your muscles revolt against the unusual physical activity by seizing up on you so badly that you're laid out flat on your back for the next 2 days. You film your next 2 videos from your bed, filling in your 2 fans with information about yourself, your feelings about dance, and why you're embarking on this project. Those 2 fans are your kids, by the way. Whatever you change your eating habits, you commit to the gym, and you start attending dance lessons twice a week. Every day you film a vlog post sharing what you're liking, what you're not, your diet, tips, what you learned in class, and anything else you think might be of interest to your viewers. After a month, you have 4 subscribers. You're pretty sure the 2 new ones are your kids' roommates, whatever. For 6 months, you and your spouse continue on this journey of self improvement, and the results are amazing. Between the two of you, you've lost 12 pounds, and the shared experience of learning new things together has rekindled a spark that had faded in your marriage. You're having tons of fun, and it shows in your videos. You don't know who all those subscribers are now, but while talking to those who comment, you figured out that at least a handful are older relatives of the students sharing your kids' dorms. You eventually find the courage to sign up at the newcomer level in a local dance competition, and while you don't place at the top, You don't feel that you've embarrassed yourself either. Episode 489 shows you drive 6 hours to attend a statewide competition where you take home the beginner bronze. Ensuring Ensuing videos document your journey to championship competitions, as well as the transformation of your marriage from ho hum to hot stuff. Things continue to get better. Over the course of 2 years of training and vlogging, you pick up the attention of thousands of people who are inspired by your commitment to later in life fitness and a beautiful art form normally associated with the young and so svelte. You and your spouse are anything but people love watching you anyway. Your fans help you pick out costumes, make workout suggestions, and trade dance stories, but you find they're just as eager to talk about strategies they've used to reinvigorate their personal relationships as they are about your hobby. As your audience has grown, you've gotten to meet some of your friends, and you're stunned at how pleased they are to meet you in person, how they want to pose for pictures with you as if you're some kind of television star. Your following gets big enough that you think it's worth reaching out to other YouTube dance channels and asking if they'd be interested in submitting some content to your page and doing an interview. Dance schools, dance teachers, fan pages for So You Think You Can Dance and Dancing with the Stars, and dance gear brands, dance conferences, and competitions start reaching out to ask if they can post their brands to make appearances on your show. You start getting sponsorship offers from workout gear companies, theaters, and sports drinks. By day, you sell insurance. In the pre dawn hours and late at night, you engage in biz develop while your partner edits videos. On the weekends, you dance together. You're having the time of your lives. It's been 6 years since you started this project. Sam, you're now 58 years old, and your income has nearly doubled now that it's subsidized by brands associated with dance, healthy lifestyles, and personal development. You think you'll be able to retire from your insurance job in a year or two after you've earned enough to pay off the kids' school debt. You have no intention of ever retiring from your vlog, even though it takes a lot of work to keep up the momentum. Nothing about this transformation has been easy, but it's been incredibly fun. I made this story up, but it's not fantasy. You can do it, or your parents can. Hell, your grandparents can. It's a scenario that could be replicated in real life. In fact, it's already been done. YouTube best practices. If you want to increase the amount of time people spend watching every video you post on your channel as a whole, make sure you can answer the questions below. Video optimization, titles, how much thought have you put into your video title? Does the title accurately reflect the video's content? Is the majority of the title viewable on mobile? Is the title short and concise, emotionally driven, and or keyword optimized? Descriptions. Are the top 2 lines of the description keyword optimized? Are there links to other similar videos or playlists in the description? Is there a sublink? Are there links to other social media accounts? Are all of the links clickable and trackable? Tags. Are there at least 10 tags in the description? Are both one word and phrase tags included? Do the tags accurately reflect the video's content? Are the tags valuable? That is, do they have high search volumes but low competition? You can find this out by using tools like vidIQ, Google AdWords, Keyword Planner, and keywordtool.io. Thumbnails. Does the thumbnail accurately reflect the video's content? If there is text on the thumbnail, is it easy to read on all devices? If there is text, does it complement the title? YouTube cards. To extend watch time on your YouTube, To extend watch time on your channel, are you including YouTube cards within your video to drive traffic to other relevant videos you've posted? Channel optimization. Banner. Does the banner accurately reflect the channel's content and genre? Does the graphic transfer well to all devices? About section / channel description. Are the top two lines keyword optimized? Is the first paragraph an overview of the channel? Have you included the upload schedule? Are all of the social media links clickable? They don't have to be trackable. Playlist. Does the channel have custom playlists? Do the playlists have keyword optimized descriptions? Are the playlists featured on the landing page of the channel? Channel trailer. Is a channel trailer displayed on the landing page? Does the channel trailer accurately reflect the channel's content and genre? Is the channel trailer telling the best story in the shortest amount of time? How I'm crushing it. Daniel Markham. What's inside? IG at What's Inside. It's fitting that a science project was responsible for shifting Daniel Markham's career from pharmaceutical sales rep to half of a world traveling father son duo devoted to cutting things in two. Decades of testing, experimentation, and life experience led to his and his son's overnight success. Growing up, Dan had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but upon graduating from college with a young family, he applied his degree in global business and finance to a position as a pharmaceutical sales rep. The money was good, but for years he put up websites and dabbled in side hustles, or in his words, little random small businesses that totally failed, in the hopes that one would take off and allow him to leave his steady job. When YouTube came along, he put up videos of his kids and wife to share with the rest of his family who didn't live near him in Utah. He'd always monetized his websites with Google AdSense, throwing up little pop up ads, and he did the same for the YouTube videos, even though he'd never made any money this way. No one was watching. One day, his son, Lincoln, came to him for help with his second grade science project. The assignment to ask and answer a question of his own choosing. The year before, he'd asked, "Why do we have boogers?" and had stuck a giant nose stuffed with green goo on his poster board presentation. This year, he was interested in finding out why humans have earwax, but Dan felt that was too similar. So after thinking about it, Lincoln decided that since he loves sports, he'd like to find out what was inside a sports ball. With his father's help, he started cutting balls in half and putting together his project. Dan decided to film the process, posting the results on one of his YouTube channels that he renamed Lincoln Markham to make it easy to identify. The idea was that after making his presentation, Lincoln could share the name of the channel with his teacher and classmates, and they could go watch it on their own time. Dan had already monetized about 80 videos by then, including the previous year's booger video, playing around with the titles and tag words to make them more appealing. He added this one to the lot. It was January 2014. Almost a year later, on a winter day in December 2014, Dan got an AdSense notification that he'd earned $4. He checked his analytics. It hadn't come from his websites. He checked YouTube. Someone was watching enough. Someone was watching enough someone's to generate income. Inexplicitly, YouTube had decided it liked his video and had started suggesting it when people were watching videos about baseball. People were clicking on it, and some were commenting, offering suggestions for other types of balls Lincoln could cut open. Maybe this is it, Dan thought. He showed Lincoln what was happening and asked him if he was interested in doing some more videos. Together, they decided to go all in. They hid the other videos on the channel and changed the name of What's Inside and changed the name to What's Inside and started cutting. They'd spend 4 or 5 hours together every Saturday using Dan's phone to film videos of themselves cutting open various types of balls. And Dan would throw them up to the platform. As they learned more about how the YouTube algorithm worked, they continued to film on Saturdays, even when they were traveling, but they released only one video per week. The videos got better and more polished as Dan taught himself to use Final Cut Pro and enhance the storytelling elements of the videos. For example, when they cut up a football, they opened with footage of themselves throwing a football around. They learned even more by attending video conferences and networking with other YouTubers. It was at one of these events, the first CVX Live, that Dan heard adventure and extreme sports videographer Devin Graham, aka Devin Supertramp, announced that the way he made money on YouTube was 10% from AdSense, 20% from licensing content, and 70% from sponsored videos. It just completely blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, you can make money from brands that would want to put their stuff on there. That was new to me. And it was summer 2015, and Dan scored his first brand deal by making a pitch on a website called Fanbit, a marketing site where brands post offers to pay creatives to promote their products. He got paid around $250 to cut open a Rubik's cube and then $1,000 to cut open a mattress. I thought, we had it made, $1,000, and we're just cutting open a mattress. A few months later, he met Sean Shunduris McBride, see page 167, who told him that with their channels reach, they now had almost 1 million subscribers. They should be pitching the advertising agencies that run big influencer marketing campaigns. Back to the hustle. I had my day job, where I was selling drugs and I was traveling to 8 different states. And I would sit there at night in hotels looking up the people who spoke at VidCon, the biggest video conference in the country. Anybody who looked like they were from an advertising agency, I would Google them and find out what company they worked for and reach out, either by email or their contact us page. One of those agencies responded. Dan explained that if they were looking for creative ideas for their brands, he and Lincoln would love to work with them. We are family friendly and we cut stuff open. It's like an unboxing channel on steroids. And they said, well, why don't you sign this NDA and we'll talk? It turned out the agency represented Bill and Melinda Gates. What's Inside and a few other YouTube channels were chosen to bring attention to their annual letter outlining their position on current global issues and challenging people to work for positive change in the world. The theme of what year's letter was two superpowers. We wish we had. Dan, who was born in the Philippines, spoke Tagalog and had served 2 years there as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS, decided that his superpower would be to bring clean, drinkable water to the developing world. His idea was to bring Lincoln to the Philippines to show him why the lack of potable water was such a serious issue. This was their first big brand deal, and it was an important moment. We needed to keep hustling and trying to find brands that we liked and that we wanted to work with that would make sense for our channel. We don't want to align ourselves with a brand that we don't support ourselves. This meant turning down deals, sometimes extremely lucrative ones. Dan is proud of Lincoln for talking sense into him when he had his head turned by an advertising agency that offered them something in the 30,000 to 50,000 range to do a video of them cutting open a toy. There was one problem. It wasn't super interesting. If we cut it open, people would think, why did I watch this? But honestly, I was going to find a way to do it. I told Lincoln about it. I was a little apprehensive, but it was good money, like a quarter of my annual salary from my day job. And Lincoln said, no, Dad, absolutely not. We would totally be sellouts if we did that. Our audience would hate it. And as soon as he said it, I was like, you're totally right. At the same time, he was 10 years old. They didn't do it. Instead, they posted a different video they were pretty sure would also disappoint their viewers. It was one it was of them cutting open a rattlesnake rattle. They had traveled to the Phoenix Zoo to film the cut as part of the opening about 3 months earlier, but they never posted the video because Dan knew from his research that it would be anticlimactic. There is nothing inside a rattlesnake rattle. But they had no other videos for that week because they'd been on vacation, so they decided to edit the ending for that purpose. Even though they were tired from their road trip, it was a Saturday night. Dan spent about 7 hours editing and published the video a few minutes before leaving for church the next morning. That post became the third most viral video on all of YouTube in 2016, racking up 42 million views in its first 7 days. An entire new audience arrived, and many of whom were significantly older than the demographic Dan and Lincoln had appealed to before. Among them were people who worked at advertising agencies and brands. Now, instead of hustling until 3 a.m. to find and reach out to big marketing players, the big marketing players were coming to Dan. He quit his sales job in July 2016. The generation that's my age, they don't understand social media at all. And then you put in my parents who are even older. For me to say I'm leaving a really good job that took me a long time to get to where I am, to step away from that to make YouTube videos, they were definitely scared. Even when I told them the numbers, those conversations were hard because you don't want to feel that you're letting people down or that people are worried about you. His wife, who had always been supportive but liked her full-time job working for a Fortune 100 company, quit when it became clear that the family balance was so important to them, couldn't be sustained with both parents working such intense hours. And Lincoln still makes videos with his dad, but he also goes to school, plays golf, and hangs with his friends and sisters like any normal boy. Dan is adamant about protecting his son's childhood and his daughters now that they're running a family channel. Two, he keeps a healthy perspective about magical ride his family is enjoying. I want Lincoln to feel like he is still a kid, not like he has a full time job. I'm looking at a pile of 20 things that would be awesome and timely and good to cut open right now. But I want Lincoln to get home from school and go play with his friends today, so I'm not going to do that. It's a tricky balance. Nike emails and says, we want Lincoln to be one of the top global influencers for this campaign. Whether or not Lincoln is a top global influencer, and I have a hard time thinking that he is, the fact that Nike thinks he is something Lincoln has on his resume that will never go away. I've done a lot of talking about brand deals and hustling to get those brand deals, but at the end of the day, meeting Bill Gates for that first video, forget about the money. It will forever go down as something that we've done as a family. This all this is all stuff that if YouTube went away tomorrow has been amazing life experiences. You never know what is going to take off in life. Definitely nothing is going to take off if you are not consistently working hard and trying different things forever. I never thought that I'd be cutting things open, but if I didn't try and fail at all of these other things for all those years, this would never have come about. Dan Markham and his family are practitioners. They did their research, they paid attention to all the title details, and they stayed true to their brand. It's exciting to me to see a family doing so well because they put in the work and executed. End of the chapter. Thank y'all and appreciate y'all for tuning in, and till the next video.